It started with a text, not a shout, not a slammed door, just a text that hit like a paper cut. Working late, don't wait up. Third time that week, and it was only Wednesday. I stared at my phone, the screen glowing in the dim kitchen, and thought, okay, Claire's got a big project. It happens. But it wasn't just work. It was never just work. 3 weeks of this. Every night a new excuse, each one flimsier than the last. First, it was client dinners. Then, grabbing food with Lauren. Then, nothing. No explanation, just silence. Coming home felt like walking into a meat locker, cold, sterile, and not a hint of warmth. Ask her a question? Not now, Matt. I'm exhausted. We'll talk later. Spoiler, later was a myth. If I'd known this was the opening act of a slow-motion disaster, I'd have torn up the script right then. But I didn't. I figured it was a phase, a rough patch we'd ride out. I was wrong. I'm Matt, 38, logistics manager. I keep trucks moving across 3 states, making sure deliveries hit on time without anyone noticing the chaos behind it. Not sexy, but it keeps the lights on. My wife, Claire, 36, is a marketing exec who can charm a room into buying sand in a desert. We've been married 8 years, together 10. No kids, just a mutt named Rusty who's better at reading the room than either of us. We used to be solid, weekend hikes, greasy diner runs, laughing at bad horror flicks. Now, I'm eating takeout alone, wondering when my house turned into a hotel where I'm just the guy who empties the trash. That night, I tried to keep it human. Claire was at the kitchen island, scrolling her phone, her nails tapping like she was sending Morse code. I leaned against the counter, nursing a coffee that had gone cold. Hey, I said, keeping it easy. What if we got out of town this weekend? Just us, like before. Maybe that cabin by the lake. She didn't look up, just nodded, eyes locked on her screen. I'll think about it, she said, voice flat as a pancake. But I promised Jen I'd help with her kids. Probably won't work. No glance, no smile, nothing that said she gave a damn. Like I'd asked her to sort the recycling, not spend 2 days together. I stood there, waiting for a scrap of interest. Nada. All right, I said, and walked out, the floor creaking under my boots. Strike one, I thought. If I'd known that was the last time I'd try to bridge the gap, I'd have saved my breath. The next few days were a clinic in avoidance. Claire was a ghost in her own house, breezing in after 10, tossing her bag on the counter, heading straight for the shower. No, how's your day? No, what's for dinner? Just the faint scent of her perfume and a closed door. I'd sit on the couch, Rusty sprawled across my lap, flipping through channels like it mattered. I was keeping score, though. Every dodged call, every brushed off question, every not now piled up like unpaid bills. By week 4, I was done playing the good guy. Not mad, anger's too sloppy. I just stopped following her script. No more asking where she was. No more texting to check in. No more picking up her dry cleaning or grabbing her overpriced oat milk. I lived like she wasn't there, cooked for one, watched what I wanted, went to bed when I felt like it. And you know what? She didn't notice. Or if she did, she liked it. One night, she walked past me, sipping her wine, and tossed out, "It's nice. Quiet lately." Like I was a neighbor who'd finally turned down the stereo. I looked up from my book, a half-read thriller I was using as a prop. "Yeah," I said, voice steady but sharp. "Real peaceful, isn't it?" She didn't catch the jab, just gave a small smile, like she'd scored a point, and disappeared into the bedroom. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a rough patch. This was her redrawing the lines, and I wasn't even on the map. The first real crack showed at a friend's barbecue. Tom and Sarah's place, backyard decked out with string lights. The kind of scene where everyone's pretending they're not judging each other's lives. Claire was in her zone, working the crowd. Her laugh slicing through the chatter. I was by the grill with Tom, flipping burgers, when she called me over. "Matt, honey, come tell them about that time you got stuck in traffic with the delivery trucks." I knew that tone, sugar with a spike. The story wasn't cute. It was about a day I'd pulled a miracle to fix a scheduling screw-up, saving a client's deadline. But to Claire, it was a way to make me the guy who bumbles while she played the room like a pro. I walked over, beer in hand, and leaned against the patio table. "You mean the time I saved a client $1 million by fixing a mess you'd have ignored?" I said it with a grin, but my eyes were on hers, steady. The group chuckled, thinking it was playful. Claire's smile twitched, just for a second. "Oh, come on," she said, waving a hand like she was shooing a fly. You were on the phone for hours, yelling at drivers like some wannabe air traffic controller. It was hilarious. The crowd laughed again, but I saw it. She wasn't sharing a story. She was setting me up to look small. I tilted my head, still smiling. Funny how you tell it. I remember saving the day while you were out networking at some wine bar. I air quoted the word, and Tom snorted into his beer. Claire's eyes narrowed, but she laughed it off, steering the talk to something else. Point made. I wasn't her punching bag. In the car, the silence was thicker than fog. Rusty panted in the back seat, the only noise. Finally, Claire spoke, her voice sharp enough to cut steel. You didn't have to make me look bad back there. I kept my eyes on the road. Didn't make you look anything. Just told it like it was. You don't like it. Maybe don't turn my day into your stand-up routine. She huffed, crossing her arms. You're so sensitive. It was a joke, Matt. Lighten up. I glanced at her, voice calm but hard. Jokes are supposed to be funny, Claire. Not a way to make me your sidekick for a cheap laugh. You're blowing this out of proportion, she snapped, staring out the window. You always do. I let the silence sit for a beat. Nah, I said, slow and deliberate. I'm just calling it what it is. You want to play me for laughs? Do it on your own stage. She didn't answer, just clenched her jaw and looked away. I didn't push. I'd said enough. But inside, I was done pretending her jokes were innocent. She wasn't just poking fun. She was testing how much I'd take. And I was keeping score. A few days later, it got uglier. Claire's sister, Jen, was over for dinner, the three of us at the dining table, picking at a lasagna I'd thrown together. Claire and Jen were deep in some chat about Jen's kids when Claire turned to me, mid-bite. Matt, can you toss the laundry in the dryer after we eat? I forgot earlier. I chewed slowly, setting my fork down. Jen glanced up, her fork hovering like she sensed a storm. Sure, I said, voice neutral. Right after you tell me why you've been treating me like your personal assistant for weeks. Claire blinked, caught off guard. What's that supposed to mean? I leaned back, crossing my arms. Means I've been running your errands, picking up your slack, and you can't even look at me when you ask. What's going on, Claire? You too busy running the world to notice I'm right here? Jen coughed, staring at her plate like it held the secrets of the universe. Claire's face hardened, but she kept her voice sweet, like we had an audience. I'm just busy, Matt. You know how work is. Don't make a thing out of it. I didn't flinch. Not making a thing. Just pointing out you've got time for wine nights and babysitting, but not a single conversation with me. I'm not your secretary. Jen tried to cut in, all nervous energy. Okay, guys, let's not. Claire ignored her, leaning forward, her voice low and sharp. You're really doing this now? In front of my sister? I held her gaze, unfazed. You picked the time, not me. I'm just matching your vibe. You want me to play errand boy? Fine. But don't act like it's normal to treat me like I'm on your payroll. Jen mumbled something about checking the oven and bolted. Claire didn't move, just stared at me like I'd thrown her script out the window. You're acting like a child, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. I'm working my ass off, and you're whining about laundry? I smirked, leaning in closer. Not whining. Just done playing fetch. You want laundry done? You've got 2 hands. Use them. I'm out of the servant business. She laughed, short and bitter. You're unbelievable. You think I'm the problem here? You're the one turning a molehill into a mountain. I stood, pushing my chair back. Nah, Claire. You built the mountain. I'm just refusing to climb it. I grabbed my beer and walked out to the porch, leaving her to stew. Rusty followed, his tags jingling. I didn't look back. The next escalation hit at work. My work, not hers. I was in the break room, grabbing coffee, when my coworker Dave leaned over, grinning like he'd heard a good one. So, Matt, Claire says you're the king of logistics screw-ups. What's the deal with that truck story? I froze, cup halfway to my mouth. She said what? Dave chuckled, oblivious. Yeah, at the bar last night. She was telling everyone how you botched some delivery and had to play hero to fix it. Said it was classic Matt, always making a mess. I set the cup down, slow, my jaw tight. Claire hadn't just told her friends. She was dragging my name through the mud at a bar, with my own colleagues there. This wasn't a joke anymore. This was her painting me as the screw-up to anyone who'd listen. I forced a smile, keeping it light for Dave. Yeah, she's got a way of spinning things. Funny how she left out the part where I saved the client's ass. Next time you see her, Ask her about that. Dave's grin faltered, like he sensed he'd stepped in something. Oh, yeah. Just thought it was funny. Real funny, I said, patting his shoulder a little harder than necessary. Tell her I said hi. I walked back to my desk, my head buzzing. Claire wasn't just testing me. She was rewriting me, turning me into the guy who can't get it right. And she was doing it where it had hurt. My reputation, my work, the one place I still had control. That night, I waited. Claire got home late. As usual, her heels clicking as she dropped her bag on the counter. I was in the living room, scrolling through emails, Rusty at my feet. Hey, I said, not looking up. Heard you had a good time at the bar last night. She paused, pouring herself a glass of wine. Yeah, it was fine. Why? I set my phone down, turning to face her. Sounds like you were the life of the party. Telling everyone how I'm the king of screw-ups at work. Real nice touch, Claire. Her hand stilled on the wine glass, but her voice stayed smooth. Oh, come on. It was just a story. People were laughing. You're taking it way too personally. I stood, crossing my arms. Personally? You're out there trashing my name to my coworkers, and I'm supposed to laugh it off? You think that's cute? She rolled her eyes, sipping her wine. It's not trashing, Matt. It's storytelling. You're so serious all the time. I stepped closer, voice low but sharp. Storytelling's when you make shit up. You're spreading lies about my job to get a laugh. That's not a story. That's you trying to make me small. And I'm not here for it. She set the glass down hard. You're paranoid. I didn't say anything bad. You're just looking for a fight. I laughed, short and cold. Nah, Claire. I'm not fighting. I'm done playing your game. You want to talk shit about me? Do it somewhere else. I'm not your prop. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Rusty, let's go. The dog scrambled after me, and I didn't look back. A week later, it got public. We were at a neighborhood block party, grills smoking, kids running around, music blaring from someone's Bluetooth speaker. Claire was holding court with a group of neighbors, her laugh carrying over the crowd. I was by the cooler, grabbing a soda, when I heard her voice cut through. Matt's always so busy with his trucks, he probably forgot what a vacation feels like. The group chuckled, and I felt eyes on me. She wasn't just talking, she was performing, making me the guy who's too boring to keep up with her. I walked over, soda in hand, and leaned against a table nearby. Funny you mention vacations, I said, loud enough for the group to hear. I seem to recall suggesting one last month. You said you were too busy with your sister's kids. Or was it wine night with Lauren? The laughter died. Claire's smile froze, and one of the neighbors, Karen, tried to smooth it over. Oh, you guys, always teasing each other. I kept my eyes on Claire, my voice calm but pointed. Not teasing, just clarifying. Claire's got a lot on her plate. Networking, storytelling, keeping everyone entertained. I'm just the guy who pays the bills and takes out the trash, right? Claire's face went pink, but she laughed, trying to play it off. Matt, come on. It's a party. Relax. I tilted my head, smiling just enough to keep it civil. I'm relaxed. Just making sure everyone's got the full story. You're good at leaving out the parts that don't make you look like the star. Karen coughed, and the group shuffled, sensing the shift. Claire's eyes flashed, but she didn't push back. Not there. I walked away, soda in hand, and joined Tom by the grill. He raised an eyebrow. You okay, man? I shrugged, popping the can open. Just setting the record straight. He nodded, flipping a burger. She's got a habit of rewriting things. Always has. You're handling it better than I would. I didn't answer, just sipped my soda. Tom was right, but it wasn't about handling it. It was about drawing a line. Claire wanted to play me like a pawn in her show. I wasn't playing anymore. The final straw came at a work event for Claire's company. A rooftop mixer at some overpriced hotel, all suits and fake smiles. I was there as her plus one, nursing a beer and making small talk with her colleagues. Claire was across the room, working the crowd, her laugh louder than necessary. I was fine with it, until I saw her with some guy in a tailored suit, her hand on his arm, her smile dialed up to 11. I'm not jealous. Never have been. But I know a performance when I see one. She wasn't flirting to cheat. She was doing it to get a rise out of me, to see if I'd jump when she whistled. I watched for a minute, letting her play it out. Then I walked over, casual, beer in hand. Hey, I said, nodding to the guy. Matt, Claire's husband. You are. He blinked, caught off guard. Greg. I work with Claire on the Parker account. Cool, I said, turning to Claire. You two looked cozy. What's the Parker account got to do with you laughing like you're in a damn rom-com? Her smile froze, but she recovered fast, letting out a laugh. Oh, come on, Matt. We were just talking shop. Don't be dramatic. Greg shifted, clearly uncomfortable. I kept my eyes on Claire, voice steady. Not dramatic. Just curious. You've been so busy lately. I figured you'd save the charm for someone who's not signing your checks. The air got heavy. Greg mumbled something about getting a drink and bailed. Claire's face went red, but she kept her voice low, all venom. You're embarrassing me. In front of my colleagues. Really? I stepped closer, keeping my tone even but sharp. You embarrassed yourself, Claire. You think I don't see what you're doing? Playing me like I'm some prop to keep you entertained? I'm not here for your show. She stared at me, her jaw tight, then turned and walked away, her heels clicking like gunfire. The rest of the night, she ignored me, working the room like nothing happened. I didn't chase her. Didn't need to. I'd said my piece, and she knew it. That night, back home, she let loose. She was in the kitchen, slamming cabinets like she was trying to wake the neighbors. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, waiting for the storm. It didn't take long. You think you can just humiliate me like that? She said, standing in the doorway, arms crossed. In front of my team? You made me look like an idiot. I set my phone down, looking at her straight on. You did that all by yourself? Claire, flirting with some suit to get a rise out of me? That's not my problem. That's yours. She laughed, short and nasty. You're paranoid. I was networking. You wouldn't get it. You don't have to schmooze to keep your job. I stood, crossing my arms. Don't pull that card. You weren't networking. You were performing. And I'm done being your audience. You've been doing this for weeks, months, maybe. Ignoring me, ordering me around, making me the butt of your jokes. I'm not your punching bag, Claire. And I'm done pretending I am. Her eyes widened, like she hadn't expected pushback. You're blowing this out of proportion. You always do. You can't handle me having a life outside of you. I stepped closer, not raising my voice, just letting the words land. I can handle you having a life. What I won't handle is you treating me like I'm optional. You want to play games? Play them alone. She opened her mouth, then stopped. For a second, I thought she might say something real. But then she smirked, like she was calling my bluff. Fine, she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. If it's so bad, maybe you should go. Make it easier for both of us. I nodded, not breaking eye contact. You know what? You're right. It'll be easier. For me. I turned, grabbed my jacket, and started packing a bag. She stood there, frozen, like she hadn't expected me to call her bluff. Where are you going? She asked, her voice smaller now, but still sharp. I zipped the bag, looking at her one last time. Somewhere I don't have to beg for respect. Good luck running your show without me. I crashed at Tom's place that night. He didn't ask too many questions, just handed me a beer and let me talk. She's always been like that, he said, shaking his head. Likes to be the one holding the reins. You did the right thing, man. You can't live like that. I nodded, staring at the bottle in my hand. Yeah, I just didn't see it for what it was. Thought I could fix it. Tom snorted. You can't fix someone who thinks they're the main character in everyone's story. He was right. And that was the moment I stopped second-guessing myself. Claire wasn't going to change. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a follower. And I wasn't signing up for that. The next week, I got my own place. A small apartment, nothing fancy, but mine. I left the keys to our house on the kitchen table, along with a note. You wanted simple. Here it is. Good luck. I didn't wait for her to respond. Didn't need to. I filed for divorce the following Monday, and by the end of the month, I was settled into my new life. No whispers, no lists, no dinners that tasted like regret. Just me, Rusty, and a quiet that didn't choke me. Claire tried reaching out once, a few weeks later. A text, can we talk? I didn't answer. What was there to say? She'd built her